I never thought that the first Zelda fan game I would be looking at was in fact my own. Just to remind those who aren't familiar with it, there is a program called Zelda Classic. It allows us to create and play 2D fan games based on the Legend of Zelda series. It's fitting for Zelda enthusiasts and for those interested in game design. I will leave a link to both the program and my own quest in the description below. I was aiming to start a video on one of the most popular Zelda Classic quests, but this was around the point when my latest quest was completed, Summoning War. It was admittedly the reason I haven't been posting a review in a while. That and the several bugs I encountered only mere days after I published a game. That almost demoralized me. It felt like progression was never going to end. Luckily, I finished the quest and received more positive feedback than I could ever hope for, considering this was made within a year and a half. To clarify, this is considered a mini quest containing 4 dungeons and only lasting for at least 2 hours. That may sound very short, but that's what I was aiming for. I was trying to build up a mechanic that would hopefully be used for future projects I had in mind. Aside from that, the story to some was really its detriment. I am not geared for writing in video games. It might be the most anticlimactic part of this game, but I may as well show it off. The land of what we know as the province is heading into yet another war, and where many enemies roam all over the world and destroy whatever they see. All of the guards, soldiers, and warriors who defended this world are gone. This was all done by the sorcerer Haman, who not only destroys the world for destruction, but to search for the so-called hero who was meant to stop the war. Haman would not rule on his own for much longer, as he is waiting for the beast that rests in the egg for centuries. Dark magic that will grant Haman darker powers. The princess who watches over this world, named Hylia, can no longer cease this constant war. After so many years of destruction, both the hero will now grow up to take on this world, while the beast is soon to awake. The hero named Link has lived his early life hiding underground so his friends and family can protect him until this very moment, with Haman eventually killing Link's mother. With the task at hand, Link must gather the 4 pieces of the Triforce of Courage to fulfill his power and finish off Haman, also stopping the war. That's as simple as I can make it. Whatever issues the story has was never brought up to my attention, or at least wasn't given much detail. Maybe I should get someone to write the story for me next time. The gameplay and purpose for Summoning War kicks off maybe 5 to 10 minutes of story. As soon as Link obtains his sword and leaves his village, that's where the player's journey starts. Part of what made the original Legend of Zelda so well known was the freedom you had when exploring the overworld. Considering the growing popularity of open world games today, the success of Link Between Worlds, and the upcoming Zelda game for Wii U, Summoning War allows you to tackle any of the 4 dungeons in any order you wish. Not every Zelda game has to be like this, but if we're talking completing dungeons in a desired order, then the keyword of what I incorporated with this quest was replayability and then some. You are placed on a 10 by 10 overworld, which might seem small at first, but depending on what item you acquire first, you can get around the area respectively. On top of that, you also have warp tunnels connecting from the Goddess Chamber to a dungeon as a shortcut. Heart pieces are scattered around, the usual Zelda standard, but now there are these lost fairies and extra side quests once you have completed all 10 of them. You can complete the side quests as early as possible depending on the order you complete the dungeons in. More on that later. The province contains 4 major areas along with the 4 dungeons. Located in the Valley of Snow, we have the Ice Cloud Castle. In the Valley of Ashes, we have Magma Mines. In the Valley of Spirits, there's Cerebral Sanctum, and past the shore, there's an island called Rose's Isle. Like any Zelda game, you will eventually find the item used to complete the dungeon, and then find the post-dungeon to upgrade yourself. Yes, a post-dungeon, which always contain one screen, then rewarding you with something better. So would you want to complete Ice Cloud Castle for both the Magic Leaf and the Double Magic, or would you want to complete Cerebral Sanctum for the Kaio Crystal and the Mirror Shield? In the end, you mostly would want every item and upgrade in the game, but since it's all optional, there are times where you would want to challenge yourself and not pick up the upgrades. But now let's talk about the items themselves. As mentioned before, you can obtain an item from the dungeon, the overworld, and the post-dungeon. You see that? That is your magic meter. Every weapon in Summoning War consumes magic borrowing from a Link Between Worlds' stamina meter, which means, yes, the boomerang also consumes magic. If the item was called the magical boomerang, or if the magic meter was called the stamina meter, then I wouldn't get much backlash for it. These items are meant to consume magic so the player can conserve the amount of uses for it. Needless to say, this feature would most likely return in a future project of mine, because this can help reduce grinding for ammo and such. On top of that, the meter will automatically regenerate. The only problem I have with the magic system is that there are times where you'll have to wait for the meter to refill while you are solving block puzzles. That can break the pace, but I will gladly find a way to balance that out. Now, how do these items work? I tried to make them less situational and more helpful in combat. The Magic Leaf allows Link to fly around after bouncing off a whirlwind. It also allows Link to stun enemies. So if you feel as though you don't need the boomerang, this is basically your alternate method. The ice ring does double damage to what your standard sword can do, but it's short range. Otherwise, it is good to freeze lava or enemies on screen when paired with the ice scroll. The earth gauntlet has the best range and can be used to freeze armors, basically taking an enemy and using that as a puzzle mechanic. The Kyle Crystal is probably the most unique item in what it could do. It has the least usability in combat, but it could switch places with Link, allowing him to complete the more challenging puzzles. It might also be helpful to dodge certain enemy attacks or causing those to redirect their line of sight. Lastly, I should talk about the order of the dungeons. While it is true that you can complete any dungeon in any order, there is secretly a best order to complete these dungeons in. It derives from the Mega Man X games. In this case, if you know the best order for the dungeons, you can get the upgrades in perhaps the most convenient way possible. Not only that, but the dungeon bosses are also weak to a different dungeon item, again like the Royal Masters in Mega Man. Because of how different every playthrough can be, it's always interesting to see how another player will finish a specific dungeon. Take Magma Mines for example. It is designed to be the smallest yet most complex dungeon out of the 4. There's tons of warps, color barriers, and doors that automatically close. Doing this dungeon first will reward the player with a strong item like the Ice Ring, while completing the Fairy side quest in the earliest stage. However, if you already have completed the other dungeons before starting Magma Mines, you can simply sequence break the dungeon with the Magic Leaf, Earth Gauntlet, or the Kyle Crystal. It makes things easier while sacrificing the chance of getting the Fairy quest done early. And hey, if the boss in Magma Mines also gives you trouble, you can just get the weakness of the boss, the Magic Leaf, and temporarily disable the boss's fire attacks. I mean, nothing's stopping you from leaving the dungeon only to tackle another one. And well, that's all I can say about this quest. Summoning War is short, but there are tons of scenarios you can try out that can be seen as replayable. There are lots of hints scattered all over the overworld in case you don't know what to do. Zelda fans might find it enjoyable, especially for those who enjoyed A Link to the Past. Those who stuck with Zelda Classic can view it as a different Zelda quest. And those who want to play something and easy to pick up, this is one of those quests that I can hope satisfy you. Thank you all for watching. Be sure you leave a like and a comment, and I will see you all whenever. Take care.